So, folks, I did feel it was time for a callback to a piece that we actually did a couple of weeks ago. One of the bad things, I guess, about the schedule that we have, that we do one show every 2 weeks, is that sometimes, by the time we've talked about an issue, we've talked about our predictions on a major news story before it breaks, and then by the time I've actually put the show together, the piece of news has already broken. So a couple of weeks ago, of course, Jamie had the brilliant prediction that because of the overwhelming success of American Sniper opening it in a January slot, that Mission Impossible 5, which was due to open this Christmas Day, was going to move ahead to January 2016. And I thought, absolutely, bang on, loved that idea. We talked about it. By the time I put the show together, news broken that it moved, but it went in the wrong direction, and now, incredibly, the movie's coming out in, I think, just a few short months. It's coming out this summer. Now, before we talk about anything else, guys, I just wanted to pose this question to you, because I was scratching my head about it. Movies have production schedules. You would feel that the production schedule a movie has dictates the release date to some degree. Like, they've looked at the production schedule for Mission Impossible 5 and they've said, okay, it's going to take us this long in prep, it's going to take us this long to shoot it, and even though obviously it's not some huge big budget spectacle with lots of visual effects, that, you know, it's going to take us this long to do post-production on it, and the earliest time we're going to be able to do previews and then reshoots and then screen it for the critics and then get all the foreign prints ready and all of that, that's going to take months and months and months, and we will be ready for Christmas. Heck, we might be ready in November, but we will not be ready before that. So it seemed inexplicable to me that a movie like this, on this size and scale, you would think, the sequel to Ghost Protocol, will actually be able to be ready a full 6 months before we thought it was going to be. I don't get it. I mean, obviously, fair play to them, even though now the marketing, you know, they're going to have to, we haven't even had a poster yet, not even a teaser poster, not even a logo poster, nothing, never mind a trailer.
We don't even have a title officially, do we?
No, we don't. Nothing like that. So, I mean, it just seems crazy to me that they could even pull that off. I mean, but am I just being naive about that?
Well, it depends, for one, how practical it is, because if a lot of the effects are practical, that would make it easier to edit it together if you don't have to send out CGI shots to be done really quickly. I mean, it's certainly possible. They got to start shooting in, October of last year? Something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's shot through January. They'd have to rush it, but yeah, you could do this movie in 5-6 months of post.
Well, sure. I mean, it's been done. I mean, the example that comes to my mind in terms of a rush production is Munich, which also
X-Men,
had a lot of
Last Stand.
Actually, most of the X-Men movies had tight schedules, except for
X-Men: The Last Stand started shooting, I think, in September of 2005 and came out in May of 2006.
Correct. And then there was obviously First Class was a tight shoot. I remember all of them except for Days of Future Past and.
But the point I'm making, though, is all those movies had set production schedules that dictated when that movie was going to come out, whether they wanted to or not. We're talking about a movie here where they've set a production schedule and they've said, actually, can we have it 6 months early? You couldn't do that to X-Men 3. You know, we want it in January. January is where the big bucks are. You know, give it to us, Brett. You couldn't do that. But that's what's happened here. It just, I don't know. It just seems nuts to me.
Well, you can't, assuming they were rushing no matter what. I mean, you're talking about a film that will come out 9 months after production started. That's not unheard of. It's just a matter of, was Paramount setting it up so that the post-production would be completed in the run-up to release, or was Paramount aware that the movie would be done early enough and they were just going to hold it until the Christmas season anyway? So now they add a little bit of a rush to post, and then they have it out in July.
Fair enough.
I mean, what does Paramount have this summer? That was my first thought when they made the jump, because, I mean, again, I thought it was going to be January. I didn't think it'd be, let's move it to July, let's give it the Warner Brothers slot. I was stunned by that one. This says it all. Terminator Genesis is one of their movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, man.
Right, well, there we are then. Fair enough. Well, obviously the next question is that I'm going to teasefully ask Mr. Matt Thompson is that I presume the schedule that they have now will not have much time, if any, to do reshoots if they need them. Would you say, based on what you know so far, that the movie might need some reshoots?
Yes, potentially. The script for it that I am privy to doesn't have anything in the sense of a standout action set piece. I mean, Mission Impossible 1 has that sort of iconic vault break-in. Ghost Protocol has the climbing the tower. The only thing 5 has are scenes of Ethan running through the streets trying to keep a glowy object cool enough, and him flying a drone. It's not particularly inspiring from an action standpoint. And I do feel like that's the appeal of these movies to a huge number of audiences, is that one set piece you can really sell on all the posters and all the trailers. And this one doesn't seem to have it, as far as I'm aware.
Does it have any kind of, well, it's going to sound so stupid, but I would say, even though I thoroughly enjoy the movie, that Mission 3 doesn't have an iconic set piece. It has a lot of good action sequences.
That's true, but it has a villain to make up for it at least.
It has a good villain, and it has, an impossible break-in. They break into the Vatican in that movie, and that's what these movies should have. They should have an impossible break-in of some sort. Does it have an impossible break-in?
Not really an impossible break-in. I mean, there is a certain point where they have to break into a party towards the beginning of the movie, but it's not nearly on the scale of the other ones. Masks, the face masks aren't used terribly often. This one, I think they're only used in one gag at the beginning. It's more of a standard kind of action film. The whole thing revolves around something called Nova, which is, sort of the Marvel template of the glowy thing of doom. But yeah, at a certain point, the general gist of it, storyline-wise, is that Ethan Hunt and Benji, yes, these characters in the Mission Impossible movies have names. They're sort of a two-man team, and they keep losing third-party members. So they keep working all the time. Ethan has devised it where they basically take job after job after job. Well, at a certain point, there's sort of a Bond-esque opening scene, and then Ethan gets a call to go steal glowy object thingy from a party, and then you find out that, oh no, IMF systems have been hacked by a villain named Melina, and now we really have to go get the real glowy thing and run and grab the glowy thing. It's not very inspiring. I keep thinking about Mission Impossible 3, which had that really great flash forward opening with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Just, you had stakes immediately. This film is more, oh, we're doing a Mission Impossible movie. Cool, guys. Well, I really like the last two. Let's do that. It'll work, I think. I wish I could say more. It's not even that I'm holding back. It's really just standard. It's remove the character work, and it's the world is not enough of Mission Impossible. If that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense, actually. Except that movie did have an iconic action sequence at the start that it couldn't live up to for the rest of the 2 hours.
The draft of the script I read didn't have a title page on it, so I'm not sure how late in the process it was, although I know it was written by Drew Pearce, who was the last writer on the script. But the whole thing, I mean, we get a cheesy little scene in 78. Alec Baldwin is basically going to be playing an IMF agent from the 70s who's going to represent the TV show. So he has all of the classic gadgets, which could be fun. I mean, I think a huge part of the humor of this movie is going to be Simon Pegg reacting to old IMF gadgets. But
I'm laughing already.
Yeah, but beyond that, I mean...
Which kills me because Kingsman kind of did that already. I'm not saying Kingsman was original, but they did the whole like, hey, let's take shit from the like old devices from the 80s. I mean, Phil, you know what I'm talking about? That device they use. Like, yeah, this dates back to Reagan's Star Wars era. You're gonna have to use this to save the world.
Mm.
Are you looking? I guess in terms of MI5, is how emotionally attached are you to Simon Pegg's Benji? Because the whole script is basically building up to that moment of, can he make a big sacrifice kind of thing? Like, is he a real agent? And I didn't really buy into it very much. I mean, he's fun, and Ethan's fun. Still doesn't have much of a personality, but
I'm going to guess he can make a big sacrifice, but he'll just end up in the hospital, and it'll be funny.
Well, what if, let's say that, what if sadly there was an exploding car, but it explodes off screen? You fill in the blanks from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, that character already was competent. Like, they actually made him competent in the fourth movie. Like, by making him a member of the team. So it's like, why? I mean, okay, you want to make him
like
Copley.
the only member of the team in this one. I mean, it's him and Ethan, and that's it. Luther is in the movie, but he's not part of really that team anymore. Spoiler alert for the audience. I know you're shocked in the Mission Impossible movie, but Ethan goes rogue. They're really breaking crap. I mean, there's even, I can't even remember the term for it. It's black something, which is kill an IMF agent on sight. And that's what they hold against Ethan. And that could potentially be the subtitle of the movie. So I really wish I remembered what it was. But yeah, it's Luther and Brandt, who is Jeremy Renner's character, who also has a name, which shocks me. I thought most of these characters were just the actors' names and that was it. But it's Jeremy Renner and Luther going after Ethan, who's after the lame bad guy who wants the glowy energy source / exploding thingy.
Does it like give you what does the glowy thing do? Does it give you like fresh breath or?
It's a giant bomb thing if you handle it poorly. The bad guy.
Oh no, that's Night and Day. That's that shit Tom Cruise Cameron Diaz movie that had the exact same thing. It did.
Chris McCory, Night and Day. Because I know McQuarrie.
No, that was James Mangold. I don't know if now McQuarrie might have done.
But McQuarrie wrote Ghost Protocol, even though he didn't end up getting credit on it. I mean, McQuarrie's written a bunch of Cruise's stuff, but
dating back to Valkyrie, yeah.
The bad guy's plan in this is a special kind of stupid, where he wants to destroy the oil fields, which will cut oil production down by 50%, which will send the world into a giant world war and cause millions and millions of deaths. But then, after the World War, they'll come to him because Nova will be good energy and they'll pay him lots of money.
Of course.
Yes.
I could just see that scene from The Simpsons. Nuclear power.
Step one is destroy the oil fields. Step 2 is cause World War III. We don't know step 3 yet. Step 4 is profit.
Step 3, block out the sun. That's step 3. Oh man, what a shame.
It is. I really think it's just gonna. When you decide between whether this or Mission Impossible 2 is the worst Mission Impossible movie, it's really just going to come down to whether you gel with MI2 style or not. Because if you do think MI2 style is fun, I can't see how this will be better than any of the other ones. It's just, it's kind of like if you were taking a senior PGA golfer out for one last tour, it kind of feels like that.
The other thing that occurred to me is that it's opening very close now to The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Maybe we'd rather just see that.
Looks like such a blast.
I wasn't that big on it, but I certainly think it looked. The actors look good in it. I'm convinced by them. I think they'll be good in it.
They look like they're really enjoying themselves.
They look like
that can be contagious, if you ask me. To see like Cavill and Armie Hammer and those guys, and even Hugh Grant just sitting there like really living up the 70s, the 60s-ness of the series in a movie. Now I don't know if that's going to translate to an audience, but I have a feeling that's probably going to be the one that people end up liking more, but it will probably do substantially less business.
I just remember like it could turn out like I Spy. Which I saw. I don't know if anyone. No one else saw it. Nobody else saw I Spy, but I did.
Didn't watch it. All I know is it was like a shot where Owen Wilson's gonna make out with Famke Jason, and like Eddie Murphy's watching it through his surveillance, right. And then it goes from the trailer. That's the only thing I know. I didn't watch it, kids. I've watched far worse movies, but like I didn't watch that one because, I think of David Spade's comment about Eddie Murphy. Look, kids, it's a falling star. Make a wish.
Oh well. So once again, folks, I feel like the theme of our show is that we started out the year by saying what we were afraid of with Spectre, and now, certainly for me, having seen Kingsman and been a little disappointed in it, having heard about Mission 5 now, and holding out hope for Man from U.N.C.L.E., but not being blown away by the trailer, it seems like all my hopes are pinned on Spectre.
I loved Kingsman, so it's weird that you say that. I mean, but I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I think I had even level expectations. Certainly, the online praise of it was. Do I think they overpraised it? I don't know. Actually, I really had fun with it. Actually, I mean, I think some of the criticisms are legit, but I was able to get past it. I had a blast with that movie.
Did you have the pacing problems with it that I did? I just feel like the whole training bit goes on too long.
I really didn't, actually, and it's funny to me because what's interesting is what was held back from the marketing more so than the violence. It was Sam Jackson's performance, the lisping. That's completely not in the trailers. It's not in the trailers whatsoever. They use normal Sam Jackson voice, and you were right, Phil, when you said he actually gives a performance here, and I agreed. He was great. He's actually making the effort. He's not trying to play Sam Jackson. And as miscast as he was in the RoboCop redo, I thought, well, at least he's trying to give a performance here. He's not trying to play Sam Jackson, of course, until the very end, which was clearly a reshoot, by the way. They clearly added that at the last second. Oh, it doesn't work. We got to have Sam Jackson say, scream motherfucker and stuff like that. Which he does say it in Kingsman, but it's in a different context. It's motherfucker. It's different. I loved it. I could actually see it again.
Well, I'm glad. And
the one thing I would argue, it's nothing to. It's not of relation to the movie directly. It's hearing Matthew Vaughn trying to take credit for Days of Future Past, and you're just like, dude, shut up.